The rain hammered against the metal dumpster lid above Elena's head, each drop like a gunshot in the suffocating darkness. Her hand clamped over Leo's mouth, feeling his hot breath against her palm, his small body trembling against hers. Sam pressed into her other side, silent as a ghost, while Mia's fingers dug into her jacket with enough force to bruise. "Don't make a sound," Elena breathed, barely audible even to her own ears. The sirens were getting closer. Red and blue lights strobed through the crack in the lid, painting the garbage around them in violent flashes of color. Then his voice cut through the night like a blade. "I know you're here, Elena." The loudspeaker made Alpha Cade's voice echo off every building in the alley, turning it into something omnipresent and inescapable. "I can smell your fear." Elena's heart stuttered. 5 years. 5 years of running, of hiding, of building a life in the shadows. And he'd found them in 3 days. Leo whimpered against her palm. She could feel the shift trying to overtake him, his wolf responding to the alpha command in Cade's voice, even through the speakers. She pulled him closer, using every ounce of her own dormant wolf to soothe him. Cade wasn't looking for a thief. He was looking for his stolen heirs. The dumpster lid was ripped off with a shriek of metal. Rain poured in, instantly soaking them. Elena looked up into eyes she'd seen every day for 5 years, in 3 different faces. Gold, burning, furious. Cade Thorne stood above them in a $1,000 suit that clung to his frame in the downpour, his dark hair plastered to his face, and whispered 2 words that sealed her fate. "Found you." 3 days earlier, Elena's biggest concern had been whether the triplets' shoes would last another month. "Mom, Leo took my crayon." Mia's voice carried across the entire diner, making several customers look up from their pancakes. Elena balanced 3 plates on her arm and shot her daughter the look. The one that said, "We'll talk about this later, and please, baby, not now." Mia's bottom lip jutted out, but she subsided, returning to her coloring book with aggressive scribbles. The triplets sat in the back booth like they did every day after school. Leo with his nose in a library book about wolves. The irony wasn't lost on Elena. Sam with his tablet, fingers flying over some coding project that was probably more advanced than anything his second-grade class would see for years. And Mia, wild-haired and wild-hearted, drawing pictures of forests she'd never seen. "Here you go, sweetheart." Elena set down the burger in front of table 4, a regular who always tipped exactly 15%. "Anything else I can get you?" This was her life. Had been for 5 years. Slinging hash at Rosie's Diner on the edge of nowhere, living in a 2-bedroom apartment that smelled like the Chinese restaurant downstairs, stretching every dollar until it screamed. But they were safe. Or so she'd thought. "Mom!" Sam's voice had that particular pitch that meant something was wrong. Elena turned to see him staring at his tablet, his face pale. She crossed to their booth in 3 strides. "What is it?" "Someone's been searching for us." Sam turned the tablet to show her a complicated web of data that looked like something out of a spy movie. "I set up alerts. Someone ran our faces through a recognition database 2 hours ago." Elena's blood turned to ice. "What? How is that?" "Sam, you're 7. How do you even know about—" "8 next month," he corrected automatically. "And I've been monitoring for years. You told us to be careful, so I made sure we'd know if anyone was looking." God, her brilliant, terrifying son had been running surveillance since he was 5. "Pack up," Elena said quietly. "Right now." Leo looked up from his book, his gold eyes, Cade's eyes, meeting hers. "We're running again." The resignation in his voice broke her heart. But before she could answer, Mia slammed her crayon down. "No, I like it here. I have friends." "Mia." "I'm tired of running." Her daughter's voice rose, and several customers turned to stare. We never get to stay anywhere. It's not fair. Elena crouched beside the booth, trying to keep her voice level even as panic clawed at her throat. Baby, I know, but remember what I told you about your father? The bad man who would take us away, Leo recited dutifully. He's not bad, Sam said, fingers still flying over his tablet. Statistically, an alpha protecting his bloodline is just... Sam. Her middle son fell silent, but his eyes held that stubborn light that meant he was still thinking it. We'll talk about this at home, Elena said. Right now, we need to... The diner door opened. A man in a black suit stepped inside, his eyes scanning the room with mechanical precision. When his gaze landed on their booth, something in Elena's wolf, dormant for so long she'd almost forgotten it existed, screamed a warning. Out the back, she hissed. Now! They moved like they'd practiced, because they had. Every place they'd ever lived, Elena had planned escape routes. The triplets grabbed their bags and slid out of the booth, while Elena stood, placing herself between them and the man in black. Can I help you? She called out, her voice steady even as her hands shook. The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Elena Thorne? She hadn't used that name in 5 years. Wrong person. She backed toward the kitchen, hurting the kids with her body. Never heard of her. The Alpha sent me to extend an invitation. I said wrong person. They hit the kitchen door. Rosie looked up from the grill, took one look at Elena's face, and jerked her head toward the back exit. Bless that woman and her no-questions-asked policy. Your children, the man continued, taking a step forward. They're remarkable. Triplets, alpha bloodline. Do you know how rare... Elena shoved through the kitchen door, grabbing Mia's hand as Leo held Sam's. They ran. The apartment looked like a crime scene, clothes scattered across every surface, documents burning in the sink. Elena threw anything essential into 3 backpacks, while the triplets stood in the doorway, watching with eyes too old for their faces. Is he really that bad? Mia asked quietly. Our father. Elena's hands stilled over the photo album she'd been about to pack. The one with a single picture of Cade, taken before everything went wrong. He's complicated, she said, finally. That's not an answer, Leo pointed out. No, it wasn't. But how did she explain to 3 7-year-olds that their father was the most powerful alpha in the Northern Territories? That he would never let them go once he found them? That she'd fled in the night 5 years ago, not because he was cruel, but because she'd overheard his beta talking about the Thorne heirs, like they were assets to be managed, rather than children to be loved. He'll try to control you, Elena said, zipping the first bag. Turn you into weapons, heirs. You won't be allowed to just be kids. We're not really kids anyway, Sam said matter-of-factly. Genetically, we mature faster than humans. Our cognitive development... You're kids to me. Elena crossed to them, kneeling so she could meet their eyes. Gold, gold, gold. All of them had Cade's eyes. And you deserve to choose your own lives. What if we want to meet him? Mia asked. The question hit Elena like a fist. What? You always said we should make our own choices. Mia's chin lifted in that stubborn way she had. Maybe we want to choose to meet our dad. Mia, she has a point, Sam said. Statistically, children with absent fathers often struggle with... Enough. Elena stood, grabbing the bags. We can talk about this when we're safe. Right now, we move. Bus station. We'll go to Canada like we planned. They'd made it 3 blocks when Leo suddenly stopped. Mom, we're being followed. Elena turned. 3 black SUVs rolled down the street in perfect formation, moving slowly enough to be a threat, but fast enough to cut off escape routes. Run, she whispered. They ran, through alleys, over fences. Elena's waitress shoes slipped on wet pavement, but she kept moving, kept the kids in front of her, kept... The SUVs were everywhere. They cornered them in the park, the same park where Mia had been bullied just yesterday, where she'd growled with an alpha tone that had knocked a grown man flat, where someone had filmed it and posted it online, where Cade had seen his daughter's eyes staring back at him from a screen and known. The vehicles formed a semicircle, headlights blazing. Elena pushed the triplets behind her, her dormant wolf finally rising to meet the threat. "Stay back," she snarled. The center SUV's door opened. Cade Thorne stepped out into the rain. 5 years since she'd seen him, and he looked exactly the same. Tall enough to tower, broad enough to intimidate, dark hair that curled when wet. And those eyes, God, those eyes that their children had inherited, burning gold with his wolf so close to the surface. He wore a suit that probably cost more than Elena made in 6 months. Power rolled off him in waves, an alpha command so strong that every wolf in a 3-block radius would feel the urge to submit. But Elena had never been good at submission. Cade. His name on her lips made him freeze mid-step. Something flashed across his face. Pain, anger, longing. She couldn't tell. Elena. His voice was deeper than she remembered, rougher. 5 years. Not long enough. You stole from me. I stole nothing that was yours. No? He took another step forward. Elena felt the triplets press against her back. Then who are they? Mia darted out from behind Elena before she could stop her. "We're us," her daughter declared, small fists clenched at her sides. "We're not things to be owned." Cade stared down at her, at this tiny, fierce creature with his eyes and her mother's defiance. Elena saw the exact moment recognition hit him, the way his whole body went rigid, the way his breathing stopped. "3," he whispered. "There are 3. Sam stepped forward next, because of course he did. Her analytical son who couldn't resist a puzzle. "You didn't know? Mom said you were looking for us. I saw a video. 1 child. A girl." Cade's eyes moved from Mia to Sam to Leo, who still stood half-hidden behind Elena. 3. You had 3 of my children and didn't tell me." The anger in his voice made the air vibrate. "Our children," Elena corrected, "and I had good reason." "Good reason? You denied me my heirs, my—" He stopped himself, jaw clenching. When he spoke again, his voice was carefully controlled. "We're going home. All of you. This is home," Leo said quietly, her oldest by 3 minutes, always the mediator. "We have school, friends. Mom has work. You have a pack waiting for you, a territory, a legacy. We have a life." Cade's eyes snapped to Leo, and Elena saw the exact moment her son's defiance registered. Saw something shift in Cade's expression. Not anger, recognition, pride almost. "You're the oldest," Cade said. It wasn't a question. Leo nodded. "What's your name?" "Leo. That's Sam. That's Mia." "Leo, Sam, and Mia. What?" "Morrison," Sam supplied. "Mom's maiden name." "Thorne," Cade corrected softly. "Leo, Sam, and Mia Thorne. My children. Your mother can come willingly, or my pack will ensure she comes. But make no mistake, all of you are coming home with me tonight." Elena stepped forward, putting herself between Cade and the triplets again. "You can't just take them." "Watch me. I'll fight you." "You'll lose." He was right. She'd been dormant for 5 years. Her wolf was weak, untrained. Cade was the alpha of the Northern Territories, one of the strongest wolves in the country. But she'd fight anyway. Elena felt the shift begin, her wolf rising for the first time in years, and... "Mom, don't!" Leo's hand on her arm stopped her. She looked down at her son, her brave, brilliant boy, and saw him shake his head. "We'll go," he said quietly. "Leo, we'll go with him." Her son's gold eyes met hers, and she saw the plan forming behind them. "But we stay together. All of us. That's the condition." Cade tilted his head, studying his son with interest. "You think you're in a position to make conditions? You want heirs who fear you or heirs who choose you?" Leo's voice was steady. "We'll come. We'll see your pack, your territory. But Mom stays with us. Always. Or we make your life hell." Sam nodded enthusiastically. "I can hack, just so you know." "And I bite," Mia added cheerfully. The private jet was obscene. Cream leather seats, a full bar, windows that probably cost more than Elena's annual salary. She sat rigid in her seat while the triplets explored with wide eyes, touching everything, asking Sam questions he answered with casual technical knowledge. Cade sat across from her, silent, staring. "Stop it," she finally said. "Stop what?" "Looking at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you're trying to figure out if I'm real." His lips quirked, almost a smile. 5 years, Elena. 5 years of searching, of hiring investigators, of following every lead, every whisper of a woman matching your description. And you were in a diner in Idaho. Montana. Same difference. Not to people from Montana. The almost smile faded. "Why did you run?" Elena looked at the triplets, still exploring the plane. "I heard your beta, Marcus, talking about the heirs, about how they'd be trained, molded, used to secure alliances. He talked about my babies like they were bargaining chips." Marcus was wrong. Was he? Would you have let them be normal kids, Cade? Or would you have started alpha training the moment they could walk? He didn't answer. Couldn't, probably, because they both knew the truth. "I won't let you turn them into weapons," Elena said quietly. "They're already weapons." Cade leaned forward, his voice equally quiet. "They're alpha blood triplets. Do you know how rare that is? How powerful? Every pack in the territory will see them as either assets or threats. You can't protect them from what they are." "I can try. And I can actually succeed." His hand covered hers on the armrest. Elena jerked back like he'd burned her, but his fingers followed, gentle but insistent. "Let me protect them. Teach them. Give them the tools to survive what's coming." "What's coming?" Cade's eyes flashed. "War. The Western territories are pushing boundaries. They'll see triplets as a threat to their power. Our children need to be ready." "Our children." The words hit Elena hard because they were his. She tried to deny it, tried to build a life where Cade Thorne didn't exist, but looking at Leo's serious face, Sam's brilliant mind, Mia's fierce heart, they were all parts of him. "Dad." Mia appeared beside Cade's seat, her small hand reaching for his. "Can I sit with you?" Elena watched Cade's face transform. The hard alpha melted away, replaced by something raw and wondering. He lifted Mia onto his lap like she was made of glass. "Dad," Mia repeated, testing the word. "It feels weird to say." "You can call me Cade if you prefer." "No, I like Dad." She settled against his chest, small fingers playing with his tie. "Tell me about our pack." And Elena watched the most powerful alpha in the Northern Territories tell their daughter about the territory with a gentleness she'd never heard from him. Watched Leo drift closer, drawn by the story. Watched Sam climb into the seat beside Cade, asking technical questions about pack structure that Cade answered with surprising patience. Watched her carefully constructed world crumble. The Thorne Mansion rose from the forest like something out of a Gothic novel. stone and glass and imposing iron gates. Elena counted at least 50 wolves as they drove up the winding drive, all of them stopping to stare at the vehicle. "That's a lot of people," Sam observed. "Not people, pack." Cade's hand rested on Mia's head, her wild curls tangling in his fingers. "Your pack." The SUV stopped in front of massive oak doors. They opened before Cade could reach them, and a woman stepped out. Veronica. Elena recognized her from years ago. Cade's ex, his beta's sister. The woman who had made it very clear that Elena was temporary, that an alpha needed a strong mate, not a dormant wolf who could barely shift. Veronica's eyes raked over Elena with undisguised hatred before landing on the triplets. "So it's true," she said. "The rumors." "Inside," Cade ordered. "We'll address the pack later." "They deserve to know. Inside, now." Veronica's mouth snapped shut, but the fury in her eyes promised this wasn't over. The mansion was as overwhelming inside as outside. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art that probably belonged in museums. The triplets stayed close to Elena, their earlier excitement fading in the face of such opulence. "This is too much," Leo whispered. Cade heard him. "You'll adjust." "We're not staying," Elena said firmly. "Yes, you are." Cade stopped in front of an ornate staircase. "The royal suite is prepared. You'll stay there." "We're not prisoners. Your family. There's a difference." "Then we can leave whenever we want." Cade's silence was answer enough. He led them up 3 flights of stairs to a suite that was bigger than Elena's entire apartment. 4 bedrooms connected to a central living space, windows overlooking the forest, a bathroom with a tub the size of a small pool. "This is your home now," Cade said. "Everything you need is here." "Except freedom," Elena shot back. "Except danger." He moved to the door. "Dinner is at 7. I'll send someone to show you the way." "Cade." He paused, his hand on the door frame. "You can't keep us locked up." "Watch me." The door closed. A lock clicked. Elena stared at it for a long moment before turning to find 3 pairs of gold eyes watching her. "So," Mia said brightly, "we're prisoners in a castle. Cool." They didn't come down for dinner. Elena had the staff leave trays outside the door, which she retrieved after checking for locks or guards. Found both. Ate intense silence while the triplets picked at food that was probably prepared by a professional chef. "It's good," Sam admitted. "It's a gilded cage," Elena countered. "It's temporary," Leo said with his usual mediator voice. "We just need a plan." They spent the evening exploring the suite, finding exits locked, testing windows 3 stories up, and generally confirming what Elena already knew. They were trapped. Night fell. Elena put the triplets to bed in their separate rooms, tucking each one in like she'd done every night for 5 years. "Love you, baby," she whispered to Mia. "Love you too, Mom. Even if you made bad choices about Dad." Elena huffed a laugh. "Go to sleep, troublemaker." She was halfway through her own evening routine when the storm hit. Thunder cracked like the sky splitting. Lightning turned the room white, and all 3 triplets appeared in her doorway, small and scared, and so achingly young. "Can we—" Leo started. "Get in here." They piled into her bed, trembling with each boom of thunder. Elena wrapped her arms around them, holding tight, and the door opened. Cade stood in the doorway, hair mussed like he'd been running his hands through it. He'd changed into casual clothes, jeans and a t-shirt that showed off muscles Elena had tried very hard to forget. "The storm," he started. "They're scared," Elena said shortly. "I know. I can feel it." He stepped into the room and Elena realized what he meant. The bond. Alpha and heir. He could feel their fear through the pack connection. "May I?" "You're asking permission now?" "For this, yes." Elena hesitated, then nodded. Cade approached the bed slowly, like they were wild animals that might spook. Then he sat on the edge and started to rumble. It wasn't a sound Elena could describe, something between a purr and a growl, a subsonic frequency that bypassed the brain and went straight to the wolf. An alpha's comfort call. She'd only heard it once before, years ago when Cade had found her hurt after a rogue attack. The triplets responded instantly. Their trembling stopped. Their breathing evened. The tension drained from their small bodies as Cade's pheromones flooded the room, promising safety, protection, pack. Mia crawled out of Elena's arms and into Cade's, then Sam, then hesitantly Leo. And Elena watched the most powerful alpha in the Northern Territories hold their 3 children while the storm raged outside, his rumble never faltering, his arms never loosening. "Tell us a story," Mia mumbled against his chest. So he did. About the first Thorn Alpha, about the territory wars, about the pack that had stood for 300 years. His voice wove through the storm, deep and steady, until all 3 triplets were asleep. "They're out," Elena whispered. "I know." But Cade didn't move, just sat there holding them, his eyes closed, his expression peaceful in a way Elena had never seen. "You're good at this," she admitted. "I've had 5 years to imagine it." His eyes opened, finding hers in the darkness. "Every night, Elena, I imagined what they looked like, how they sounded, if they had your smile or my eyes. And every night I failed them by not being there. You didn't know. I should have felt it. The bond. Something." He looked down at the sleeping triplets. 3. God. 3 miracles, and I missed everything. Elena moved to sit beside him, careful not to jostle the kids. "You can't get that time back." "No, but I can make sure I don't miss anything else." His free hand, the one not supporting Mia's head, reached for Elena's. "Stay. Not as a prisoner. As my mate. My Luna." Her heart stuttered. "Cade, I know I have no right to ask. I know you have every reason to hate me. But they need both of us, Elena. And maybe," his thumb traced circles on her palm, "maybe we need each other too." She should pull away, should remember all the reasons she ran, should protect her heart the way she'd protected their children. But in the darkness, with the storm outside and their babies sleeping between them, Elena let herself lean into him, let her head rest on his shoulder, let herself remember what it felt like to not be alone. "We'll see," she whispered. Cade's lips brushed her temple. "That's not a no. It's not a yes either. I'll take it." They sat like that for hours, until the storm passed, until the triplets were deep in dreams, until Elena's eyes grew heavy and she started to drift. "I've got them," Cade murmured. "Sleep." So she did. For the first time in 5 years, Elena fell asleep with someone to share the burden. She didn't see Veronica watching from the doorway, didn't see the hatred in the other woman's eyes, didn't see her pull out her phone and make a call. "It's time," Veronica whispered. "Bring them." Elena woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then memory crashed back. The mansion, Cade, the storm, falling asleep beside. She sat up. The bed was empty except for her. "Cade," she called. No answer. Elena stumbled out of bed, checking the other bedrooms. "Leo? Sam? Mia?" Empty. All of them. Panic clawed up her throat. She ran to the main door, finding it unlocked for the first time, threw it open and nearly collided with a guard. "Where are my children?" "Ma'am, Where are they?" The guard's eyes flicked to something behind her. Elena turned. A note was pinned to the balcony door. She crossed the room on legs that felt like water, unpinned it with shaking hands, read 4 words that stopped her heart. Bastards don't deserve the throne. The note fluttered from Elena's fingers. The balcony door was open. The beds were empty. Her children were gone. Elena screamed Cade's name loud enough to shake the mansion. And somewhere in the forest, 3 small hearts beat in terror as they were carried away from the only parents they'd ever known, while Veronica smiled and the real nightmare began. Subscribe now for part 2, because when an alpha discovers his heirs have been taken, the city won't just burn. It'll be torn apart from the inside out. And Elena? She's about to discover that a mother's rage is more terrifying than any alpha's fury.